Hello, I hope you're having a good day, or it's the evening now, so I hope you've had a good day and a good evening. Um, if you're new to my channel, I'm Brenda. If you're old to my channel, thanks for watching. Um, so I haven't made a video until now, for this week because I wanted to wait until my eye appointment. I had an eye doctor's appointment and um, it was not my annual. It was because I was scared. I've been watching, periodically the different side effects and lawsuits on these GLP-1s and but didn't worry too much about it because I'm going by what I'm experiencing. However, I started to notice a change in my vision um end of November, early December. And I started noticing that it was getting progressively worse. So I started to get concerned. I started to do a little bit more research on the eye stroke that people are reporting from GLP-1s. Now, this video is not to alarm anybody, and my eyes checked out to be fine. But I thought that I would share this with you just to tell you what my experience is. I have, well, I'm 54 years old, and until I started using Zepbound, I was on steroids for many, many years just to breathe, and also for pain. I have autoimmune issues and particularly rheumatoid arthritis and vitiligo. And there's some debate as to whether or not those are autoimmune diseases, but for right now, they're being considered autoimmune diseases. And I also have Epstein's Barr syndrome, which I was diagnosed when I was 17, and that, of course, is an autoimmune disease or condition. And when I started using GLP-1s, which I started with Wegovy for the first month and then transitioned to Zepbound, tirzepatide, um, I didn't have to use the steroids anymore. I got use of my hands, which prior to that, I had lost use of my hands for about 4 months. I couldn't even brush my hair. I couldn't close my hands. I couldn't make a fist. I couldn't even wiggle my fingers. And I was in constant pain to the point where it was waking me up out of my sleep. And I could not get relief. And in addition to that, I had severe pulmonary lung disease. I had taken a breathing test because I was struggling so badly and almost hospitalized a few times. I was just too stubborn to go. Um, but the doctor had wanted me to. I was on steroids. I was on a daily steroid. I was on a daily inhaler, and I was on a rescue inhaler. And the rescue inhaler was not supposed to have been needed every day, but I was needing it every day. So apparently, which I did not know until after the fact, steroids cause cataracts, where they can cause cataracts regardless of your age. And I have very early stages of cataracts, which I've known about for about 2 years now. In any case, I noticed in the last couple of months, as I mentioned, that there was a real decline in my eyesight. And I was getting nervous because I am on the Zepbound. And while I'm not sitting and watching, disastrous YouTube videos of these lawsuits for side effects, because I knew that blindness has occurred in some people as a result, I got nervous and I wanted to make an eye appointment. And I was at the eye doctor, the same eye doctor who was very good, I feel. I was at the doctor for my regular annual exam this past August. And I had told her that I had started taking Zepbound this past April. Um, and she told me, because I told her of my concerns then, and she told me if, there is any changes or you have any concerns, of course, like most doctors do, make an appointment and come in and we'll check. Well, I started in the last couple of weeks where I noticed that my eyesight was really becoming noticeably bad, and I was starting to get really nervous. And I'm usually pretty lackadaisical when it comes to making doctor's appointments. So it finally got to a point where I had to bite the bullet and do it. And I went today, and thankfully, very thankfully, my eyes are in perfect health, even with the cataracts. My biggest concern and the biggest thing that I was confused about was why was my eyesight getting so progressively bad in such a short period of time? Am I going blind? Am I going to get that eye stroke? They call it something else that starts with an N. I was supposed to look it up before I started the video, but I got sidetracked and forgot and started the video. So, you can just do a Google search if you're interested on, I just did GLP-1s and blindness, and that'll take you to so many videos. So, um, Dr. Ruiz checked my eyes thoroughly. In fact, they're still dilated since about a quarter after 10 this morning. They were dilated. They put those drops in, and they're still, I'm still pretty fuzzy. Um, but she looked at the back of my eyes, the sides of my eyes, the blood vessels, um, of course, the pupils inside. She was extremely thorough. Let's just say that. And she said my eyes look really, really good. Um, she can see the cataracts, which she's the one who diagnosed it anyway. But she said it really hasn't progressed much at all. And her explanation for why a sudden decline in eyesight, um, she said that the cataracts that I have, any there are different types of cataracts, and the kind that I have, um, there's little microbes that could, and I hope I'm not saying that wrong, but anyway, there's material within the cataracts that can shift. It can move around, and it can cause a very quick decline in eyesight. And she said it's not so much a decline as it is a change. It's just a shift, it's a change. So I have very severe stigmatism in both eyes, and I have not always been in glasses, but um, as I've gotten older, since I want to say about 43, that's when glasses started to become necessary for certain activities like reading. Now, these are progressives. These are my old prescription, but actually, I take that back. These are the readers. These are my reading glasses. This is the newest prescription that I have since August that I got changed. At the time of my annual um, vision test, the only thing that really changed within my eyesight at the time was for reading. That was where there was a real change in eye vision, and I needed to get a pair of reading glasses, not readers, but actual prescription reading glasses, which is what these are. Um, my my distance, my near vision, that was my peripheral vision, all of that at the time in August 2025 had not changed a whole lot. In fact, it was so minuscule, she suggested I not even fill a prescription for new glasses for that because I really wasn't going to benefit. So she suggested just getting the reading glasses, which I did. Well, what caused me to notice a vision change wasn't that I just couldn't see. Ironically, it was that I could start seeing other things besides the computer, my phone, and reading pages. Um, I could start seeing just regular things with my reading glasses on, and I could never do that before. I couldn't see it well, but things were getting clearer and clearer, and that was my alert. So it wasn't so much that my vision was declining that alerted me, it was that I could start seeing out of my reading glasses for things beyond just reading. And that was alarming because, well, to me, it was a concern because, like I said, I couldn't see anything out of my reading glasses except when I used them for reading. So, um, the reason that I wanted to make this video is because while I did well and my eyes are healthy, and I did have to have my progressive glasses, which is another pair that I have that I use for driving at night or when the sun is not out, because I have a pair of sunglasses that are prescription just for distance for driving here in Florida, which is what I use 95% of the time. But if I do happen to be driving in the evening when it's getting darker, I need regular glasses, not my sunglasses. So that's when I use the progressives, which have they're trifocals, is what they are. They're reading glasses, regular vision, and distance. So I had to get those um, changed now. So I'm getting a new pair of glasses, new pair of prescription progressives, because when I went back today, there was a significant change in my general vision. So, I wanted to mention this because, as I said, I'm taking Zepbound. I'm on 7.5 milligrams now. Up till about 3 weeks ago, I was taking 5 milligrams Zepbound 3 weeks out of the month, and then about 1 week out of the month, I was taking 7.5. And this was with working with my doctor. This was not me just playing around with my medication. And the reason for us trying that, there were two reasons. One, because we were both feeling like it might be time to titrate up, um, because I was starting to resort back to binging. And two was because um, well, we don't know if I'm in menopause, perimenopause, or postmenopause, but there's definitely hormonal imbalances, and I will be having my exam this spring, um, but I'm holding off because I wanted to lose some more weight before I go to this exam. And in the meantime, about 1 to 2 weeks of the month, um, I required additional support than what the 5 milligrams could give me. I was having flare ups with my autoimmune. I was having um, the food noise was getting out of control. Binging was getting more and more frequent. There were just a lot of things that were happening. Um, and so wanted to kind of see how that would work if just for the week that I needed the extra support, if I took the higher dose and the rest of the time just stayed on the 5 milligrams. And again, this was with my doctor's supervision. This was not me just playing around with my medication. So I don't suggest anybody do that. Um, you have to talk to your physician and you have to do what's right for you, with the supervision and knowledge of your physician. In my case, it helped me kind of ease into the 7.5 milligrams and see how my body would react. I use the vials. I don't get the pen. I get it from Lilly Direct. And in starting the 7.5 milligrams, even for the 1 week, I would do half of the vial, um, which is about 3.5 milligrams, um, on one day, and then 3 to 4 days, well, it would be 4 days later, I was taking the remaining 3.5 milligrams. And I did that two two times, which would be 1 week each for 2 months. And then once my body had a chance to adjust, I went full fledged with the 7.5 milligrams for 1 week. And I did okay. I had some minor side effects, but after the second month, I was fine. I no longer had any side effects other than my usual fatigue, which I suffer from anyway, mostly from the autoimmune disease. So that wasn't a huge concern of mine. A nuisance, yes, and at times debilitating, but again, something I've had to live with for a good portion of my life. So that wasn't an alert. Um, in any case, my doctor, the eye doctor, said to me that she cannot guarantee, even though my eyes look extremely healthy, she cannot tell me that that eye stroke will never happen. She said when it happens, there's like no warning, and you literally can just wake up and your sight is gone. Or you could be doing something and all of a sudden your sight just is gone and you've had basically what they equate it to as a stroke within your eye, and your eyesight is gone. What she did tell me was it is an extremely minuscule percentage of people that this has happened to. um the benefits of the GLP-1 still outweigh the risks. um there tends to be, from what I've researched, if you're on Ozempic or Wegovy, that the semaglutide happens to, um, be more of the risk of this happening than the tirzepatide, but it still can happen on tirzepatide. And just to be clear, this eye stroke can happen even if you're not on tirzepatide, or semaglutide or any GLP-1. It's just that being on a GLP-1, these um it just it adds a very small percentage of a risk. She also told me that if you are generally healthy, um and you don't have diabetes or it's under control, your A1C is now normal and you're taking a GLP-1 and you don't have any um major comorbidities, um, then you have a much lower risk of this happening on a GLP-1. She said that generally people that already have an underlying illness and then you add the diabetes on top of the illness and then you add the GLP-1 on top of that, that's when your risk is increased. And even with that, it is an extremely low percentage of people that this happens to. So, not to panic. What she suggested strongly, which I already do, but I wanted to share this with you because if you're not doing this, um, I think that you might want to have this information and consider doing it. Again, not a doctor, not a healthcare professional. I'm just going off of what I'm learning and my own experience. And the advice that was given to me was on a GLP-1, get complete blood work every 3 months. Not just checked for your A1C, not just a diabetes check. Get a CBC, a complete blood count every 3 months so that your doctor can look at everything as a whole and see what different levels are, how they're changing, so that you can detect early signs of potential blood clots, blood vessel issues, vein issues, because if it affects another part of your body, it could affect your eyes too. So I wanted to share this information with you. I hope it is useful. This is, again, this is not something to, be terrified of and panic now, regardless of whether you have some comorbidities or diabetes or you're just taking a GLP-1. It's just something to keep in the back of your mind, to be aware of, and to be proactive in getting your lab work so that you can really keep an eye on, pardon the pun, on what is happening within your body, make sure things are still going well. And if you do experience any changes in eyesight, um, that you feel might be a little bit more than normal, check with your doctor immediately. Contact your doctor, either your PCP or your eye doctor or both. Um, I don't know if I continued to tell you or if I kind of went off the path, but just again to reiterate, I have a particular type of cataracts that shifted. And because there was some change within the cataracts, that's what caused the change within my near vision, my nearsight vision. I'm sorry, I can't talk tonight. Very tiny amount of distance, really was not affected at all. Reading, very, very, very tiny, not really a difference at all. Nothing to get a new prescription of glasses. But the general vision, um, that the nearsightedness, that that is what really, really changed for me. And due to she suspects the cataract shifting, and that was why I saw such a change in my eyesight in such a short period of time. And also, to be completely transparent, she also suggested to me that while to me it was a very subtle, a very all of a sudden shift in my eyesight, and that's what got me nervous because it got so noticeable. She said that in reality, because I hadn't had the distance or the nearsightedness changed or updated in prescription, because at the time of my August exam, there wasn't much of a change. It wouldn't have been a benefit. It wasn't worth the money to get the new prescription. She told me that just with those little subtle changes, that this had actually been progressing gradually. And it may have just kind of come to a head where I noticed it and became more aware of the change in vision in more recent months. Um, Stress can cause that. Um, your body does different things. Everybody's different. We all have our different reactions. Um, but in general, as of right now, there's no macular degeneration. Um, and there is nothing pointing to an unhealthy eye in either eye, and there's nothing to indicate that I'm going blind anytime soon. Knock on wood. And just to also be clear, I don't have diabetes. Um, my A1C was starting to nudge up a little bit in the last three labs before I started Zepbound, and there were, or I'm sorry, Wegovy, and there were a lot of other issues that were happening when my doctor suggested that I consider going on a GLP-1 medication, not just for morbid obesity, but really because of the autoimmune with my hands with the rheumatoid arthritis and other health issues that I was having. Um, so these are that was my primary reason for going, and of course I met all this the requirements to go on a GLP-1 because I was morbidly obese, and I still am. I'm 93 pounds down. I still have about 133, 123, something like that, pounds to go. And that may change. That goal, that number may change. It's just a general range. Um, I'd like to be between 125 and 130 um, at my goal weight, or so I think. I'm 5 foot 8 inches tall, and with some of my musculoskeletal issues and different things that I go through, um, that's that's the number that I have my eye on. But the reality is, 150 might be great. 140 might be great. So it's just a general ballpark. It's not nothing set in cement. I'm not stuck on that number. It's just what I'm using as my guide. So I hope this information was helpful. I hope if you are using a telehealth type service for GLP-1 prescriptions, that you are also getting lab work. And I, what I started to say is I'm not diabetic. I've not ever been diagnosed with diabetes. And so I don't have that um, initial issue to add to why I'm on a GLP-1. I will say both my parents were diabetics. They had severe complications and both died at a very young age, and both were amputees. My husband is a diabetic. I am very much aware of what it is like to have to manage diabetes as the result, but I'm just saying that I don't have it, so that takes a little bit of the risk factor away from me. But our eyes are important, and if you're like me, I can lose my hair and get a wig, but I don't want to lose my eyesight. So just something to think about. If you're not getting regular labs, talk to your doctor, talk to whoever's prescribing the GLP-1 for you, and see about getting complete lab work, not just your diabetes checked if that's what you have, not just a single condition, but get the whole thing done. Um, and talk to your doctor and see how frequent that would be right for you, and get your regular eye exams now that you're on this medication just to be safe. And if you do feel like something's not quite right, don't wait too long to say something. Go ahead and get it checked out. Be on the safe side. And I thank you for watching. I hope this was useful to you. And I wanted to just briefly mention that the lists that are on the community page of the channel, of this channel, that I have updated with resources of different YouTube content creators that relate to general health and well-being, weight loss, weight loss on a GLP-1, um, food recipes, um, different health issues in general. I wanted to let you know that I keep adding to those lists. So until the page gets like the list just gets too long to add to, you might want to check back once or twice a month if you're looking for something, because I'm always adding probably, I don't know, 1 to 3 times a week whenever I discover a really good content creator, something that a channel that not even the creator as much as the channel itself, the information, when I find it relatable to my journey, to our journeys, different age groups, different walks of life, health, weight, maintenance. If I feel like it's going to be a useful content channel, I'm adding it to the list. So since that list is forever growing, I just wanted to mention you might want to stop by and look at it more than just once every few months. Um, and also, what I did to the second list is I copied from the first list onto the second list of the original content channels. Um, those are in white, and then the blue channels are the newest ones that I've just added, and those are the actual links. But if you scroll down, you can see um, a couple of pages of lists for various resources to help you on your journeys with finding some channels that are relatable to you, information that might help you. And I hope my channel is helping you too. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead. And I will see you soon. Bye.